All right, hello everybody. Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out as always. So today I wanted to talk through my thoughts on a budget Vynnset build. We have a lot of new players coming to the game of Flesh and Blood. Reading through your comments, thanks so much for interacting, by the way. I'm seeing a lot of new players who are looking at Vynnset to try her out, or looking at Vynnset potentially as their first classic constructed hero. So I wanted to put some thought into how I would approach building Vynnset on a budget to try her out for the first time as a new player sort of thing. So this is my budget classic constructed Vynnset Iron Maiden list. So without further ado, let's take a look at it and I'll talk through some of my choices. You might have some other ideas, so I'd love to hear from you guys. Tweaks that you might make to this list, okay? But this is where I've started as I'm thinking through these budget choices. So this is my $60 list, by the way. So this at time of creation might be a little bit less, might be a little bit more at this point. The market's constantly changing, but about $60 US it would cost to build this from scratch, okay? All of the pieces. And then I'll talk through after some upgrades that I would consider first thing. So I'll show you a $120 list after as well. But this is my $60 list. So we're starting with Aether Iron Weave on as a chest piece. This is 1 block battle worn. So you can still use its ability after you block. So it represents 1 additional point of health. Could help you get over a break point. And its ability is relevant, so we can destroy this to gain 2 resources. We can only activate it if we've played both a non-attack action and an attack action card this turn. So you basically need a Go Again enabler, so a Mauve Skies into an attack. Then you can break this and follow it up with potentially another Runegate, 2-cost Runegate from hand, or something else, okay? So maybe an Envelop in Darkness that you need to gather enough resources to follow that first Runegate card up. I don't know. But it can come up. Those resources could come in handy. We have Ebb and Fold on our head as a default headpiece here. As an instant, we can destroy this to banish a card from hand. If it's a shadow card, which most of our cards are, we can draw a card. So this can allow for setup on turn 0 if you're not going first. It can also allow for a filter if you're really in a bind. Okay, so a pretty decent headpiece here. And if you're looking for an immediate upgrade here, if you happen to have Arcanite Skullcap, that could be another addition to the list that just represents basically 3 health. We have Flail of Agony as a default weapon. This is played in the big build as well as Scepter of Pain. So these 2 weapons allow opportunity to basically present one in different ways. One of them costs a life to attack in for 1, Scepter or Flail of Agony, and on hit Runechant. And this one is paid 2 for 1 Arcane on hit Runechant. So they both come up in different scenarios. Scepter of Pain, the 2 cost, you could pay for it with Aether Iron Weave. So we have both. They're each one-handed, so might as well run them both. Sutcliffe's Suede Hides on our feet. This, as an attack reaction, we can pay 1. Destroy this. Target attack action card gains Go Again. We can activate this ability only if you played a non-attack action card this turn. So the idea here is we could play like a non-Go Again enabler, so like Envelop in Darkness, play out a Runegate card as an attack reaction, sort of like Snapdragon Scalers, except it costs 1. We can pay it to give Go Again. So that can come up if we want to go too wide. Vexing Quillhand as our default arm piece here. Grasp of the Arknight would be the default here, but that's quite an expensive piece. So we're on Vexing Quillhand, which is a really, really good arm piece, don't get me wrong. When I started on Vynnset, this is the default piece that I was playing, so it is still very, very good. So the difference here between Vexing Quillhand and Grasp of the Arknight is consistency. So Grasp of the Arknight allows you to basically pitch a blue to it and get that rune chant that you're kind of missing. This is a one-time break in case of emergency sort of rune chant generator. So one time you can destroy Vexing Quillhand to create 2 rune chant tokens. So that can allow you to build up those rune chants that you need at beginning of turn to come out with your first Runegate card, or to follow up. So maybe if you go Mauve Skies, Runegate card, which doesn't hit, you don't get the rune chant generation off Mauve Skies, you could break this to facilitate a 2-wide turn. It does have incidental arcane barrier, so that's fine as well. But yeah, Vexing Quillhand, sort of break in case of emergency. You want to try and hold off as much as possible, generate those rune chants by other means before breaking this piece. But it can be that finisher that you need. So in the deck, the main deck is actually quite similar to what we would run if we're not on a budget. So a lot of the Runegate pieces and a lot of the sort of consistency pieces stay the same. So we're running 3 of Deathly Delight, 2 cost Runegate card, which can potentially gain you life when you close the chain, depending on whether your opponent has taken damage or if you have taken damage. So it basically checks a lot of these Runegate cards, if you're not familiar with Vynnset, have this on hurt ability, right? So it checks how many heroes, either 1 or 2, so either your opponent or both you and your opponent have lost life this turn. When you close the chain, you get some benefit. So Deathly Delight gains you life, so you'll either gain 1 life or 2 life or 0 life, but 1 life if your opponent has taken damage and 2 if you both have taken damage. Deathly Wail is the bread and butter of this deck, so you're running all 9 Rainbow Deathly Wail. The dream is to chain Deathly Wail turns, because this allows you to end your turn on Rune Chance, which just facilitates your next turn. So Deathly Wail is similar to Deathly Delight in that it has an on hurt ability. This one costs 3, so you need 3 Rune Chance banked in order to play it out for free. When the combat chain closes, we create a Rune Chant token for each opponent, or each hero that has lost life. So this can be 2 if you both have lost life. So really consistent, strong play is Mob Skies, Deathly Wail. So you need to have those 3 rune chants, and you have to have Deathly Wail and Banish, but essentially Banish, Deathly Wail, Mob Skies, Deathly Wail. So you're going to be sending those 3 rune chants that allow you to play this out for free. Plus Deathly Wail, even if Deathly Wail doesn't hit, if they don't give you, they should be blocking those Mob Skies on hits. Even if Deathly Wail doesn't hit, you can then follow it up with Flail of Agony, so even if they take 1 of the Arcane, right? If they take 1 of the rune chants that are firing off as you play this, your opponent takes damage. They can still block the physical out. Doesn't matter. They've taken damage from the Arcane potentially. Regardless of whether they do or not, though, you can follow it up with Flail of Agony, which requires you to pay a life, which means, you don't break the chain. As go again, you follow it up with Flail of Agony, take that damage, and this allows you to at least produce 1 rune chant when you close the chain, because you've taken damage now, or potentially 2 if your opponent chooses to take some of that Arcane, that was presented ahead of Deathly Wail. So we're running all 9 red, yellow, blue. It's too good. It allows us to facilitate rune chant generation at the end of our turn, which is very, very good for us. If you weren't able to generate rune chants at the end of your turn, then Envelop in Darkness can get you out of a bind. So at the beginning of your turn, you can play this. It can represent that last rune chant token, maybe that second rune chant token that you need to generate after banishing, or that 3rd rune chant token if you did have 1 banked, in order to come out with one of those Runegate cards. And even better, it pumps your first Runegate card. So the next attack action card you Runegate this turn gets +3 on red, +2 on yellow, and +1 on blue. So this is just kind of a consistency piece. We run all 9 of these as well to represent, that additional rune chant that you often need at the beginning of your turn, and just incidentally buffing your attacks, which is also very good. The crux of this deck we're kind of getting to, but the crux of this deck requires us to run all 9 Mob Skies. So Mavrian Skies is our Go Again enabler. The next Rune Blade attack action card you play this turn gains Go Again, and on hit, create Rune Chants, which is really, really great. This is what we want to be doing. So if we have Runegate cards banked and they let this hit, they're basically letting us come in with another 2 and 6 or 3 and 6, depending what you're following this up with. So this represents an on hit that they can't ignore. If they let this hit, it's really bad either way. Either you have a Runegate card banished that you can immediately follow your first attack up with, or they're allowing you to float 2 or 3 rune chants over to the next turn, which is equally bad. Okay, so Mob Skies all 9, and in order to ensure that our Mob Skies hits, we are running Pummel. So Pummel, a lot of lists are sort of off Pummel, but here in this budget list we're leaning into it. It's a lot of fun too. So most Pummel, before we move on, is a 2-cost attack reaction. So you react, so you present an attack, they can choose to block, and then you can react to that. So the first, choose one. The first thing doesn't apply to us, so we're not running a club or a hammer, so it's always going to be the second ability. Target attack action card with cost 2 or greater gains +4, and if it hits, the defending hero discards a card. Super powerful. But the +4 can help your Mauve Skies hit. So essentially, even if they cover it up, they give you, let's say you're swinging for 6, they cover it up, they give you 6 block, you can say, actually, it's 10. And when it hits, you have to give me a card from hand, which is very devastating of an effect. And you get your Mauve Skies on hit. It's like really, really powerful. Target attack action card with cost 2 or greater. All of our attack action cards cost 2 or greater. Phantom Wraith, 2. Deathly Delight, 2. Deathly Wail, 3. Widespread Ruin, 2. Widespread Destruction, 3. Widespread Annihilation, 4. So this can target every single one of our attacks. Really good. It does require you to run a fairly high number of blues because it does cost 2. But we're running 15 here in the main board, and we have some other blues that I'll show in the sideboard, depending on how we want to lean into our different matchups, okay? So, yeah, the dream is pitch a blue, play Envelop. You have 2 float. So you're threatening Pummel even if you don't have it, but if you have Pummel, that's the dream. Come in with a Runegate card, pummel it. You know, ideally it's Envelop, Mauve Skies. Runegate card, and then Pummel. I know it requires a lot of even potentially setup, stuffing a Pummel in Arsenal for later or something like that. But it's really, really, really powerful of an effect. So Pummel in the list, main board, the 3 reds. Runeblood Incantation, sort of a consistency piece. It's a great piece. It costs 1. Runeblood Incantation enters with 3 verse counters, and at the beginning of your turn, you take a verse counter off and you make a rune chant. So essentially, for your next 3 turns after you play this, the following 3 turns, you will have an additional rune chant at the beginning of your turn. So this can allow you to just like give your whole hand, basically, other than 1. You hold back basically a 2-cost Runegate card. With this on the board, you banish that 2-cost Runegate card. That generates you a rune chant on Vynnset's ability, and this generates you a second rune chant, okay? So really good in terms of consistency to get you those rune chants you need to Runegate your cards out. So 3 of red in the main board as well. We have Phantom Wraith in both red and blue. This is just to get to the critical mass of 2-cost Runegate cards we need to make the deck run. This is a 6-cost, 6 attack, 2-cost Runegate card. So you need 2 rune chant tokens in order to play this out with the Runegate ability. And it does nothing else. So it has no on hurt ability. It has no, well, it does have blood debt. All of our, Runegate cards have blood debt. So that's something else you need to manage if you're learning this deck. When to hold on and sit on some of these Runegate cards and banish, build them up, and when to play them out. So, but anyways, this one doesn't do anything else. It doesn't have that on hurt effect on close, but it is a 2-cost 6, which is just good. Phantom Wraith on blue is a 2-cost 4. So again, just to get a critical mass, sometimes you will play this out, but often you're pitching it for resources or you are blocking with it. But sometimes it can represent that additional 2-cost Runegate card that you need in your banish. The one thing I didn't want to compromise on, so far, all the pieces we've talked about are super budget. I think the most expensive card that we've talked about so far is maybe Vexing Quillhand, which costs like $4 or $5. So the core here so far is really cheap. Like we're talking, I don't know, maybe $20? I don't know. Less, potentially. Because the bulk of the cost here in terms of our $60 budget is coming with these pieces that I didn't want to compromise on in the budget build, because I think they're pretty key to making the deck function in the way it wants to, right? Having those Runegate cards. So what I'm talking about are the widespreads. So we have Widespread Ruin, which is a majestic on red. It's a 2-cost, 6 attack Runegate card with an on hurt ability. So when the combat chain closes, each hero who has lost life, either your opponent or both your opponent and yourself, will banish the top card of their deck. This can be good for you if you're needing an extra Runegate card, if you want to be sitting on a Runegate card for next turn to come up, try and come in 2 wide with your big Pummel attack and Mauve Skies hit. But it also, incidentally can drain your opponent and force them to banish a card, which may or may not be relevant. But 2-cost 6 attack, always good. Widespread Destruction is amazing. It threatens your opponent's arsenal, sort of like a CNC. This is a 3-cost Runegate card at yellow, 6 attack once again. All of the Widespreads attack for 6. They just have different costs and different on-hurt abilities. So this one, when the combat chain closes, each hero who has lost life, so this can be you as well. So keep an eye on this. If you have an arsenal that you really don't want to lose, make sure you're not taking damage for no reason, right? So if your opponent chooses to take damage, even the rune chance, when you close the chain, they will have to banish their arsenal, which is a very strong effect. Talking about strong effects, last Widespread is at blue. It's a 4-cost Runegate card, so the 4 is a bit harder to get to, admittedly. Movsky's on hit can help you get there. Vexing Quillhand to break in case of emergency to get you an additional 2. If you have 2 rune chance, you can get 2 more to reach that critical mass of 4 to throw out a Widespread Annihilation, but arguably has the most relevant or most impactful on-hurt ability. When the combat chain closes, each hero who's lost life this turn banishes a card from hand. So they basically, when you present this, they just have to give you their hand, which can be very good if you can follow up with another strong turn. So this is the piece. These are the more expensive pieces that I didn't really want to compromise on in the build, and this is where the bulk of that $60 cost is coming from. If you're really trying to build a super budget build, you could find alternatives, but I would highly suggest running the Runegate cards that you want to get a real taste of what this deck wants to do. Okay. In terms of inventory, in terms of sideboard, we have Putrid Stirrings. This is a great piece. It's a common, super cheap. It costs 3, and it buffs your next Runegate card plus 5. So this mostly comes into Fatigue or Bravo, the wall that is Bravo. If you encounter a Bravo, you want the ability to build up. So you might take some turns off, build up rune chance, bank a Pummel potentially, and play something like Putrid Stirrings, which can present a huge attack. So the other day I swang against a Bravo for 9 rune chance that I built up and 11, so a 6 cost plus 5, so 20 damage. If I had a Pummel on top of that, that would be devastating. So Putrid Stirring, great piece, just to super buff your attack. And we do run quite a few blues, so it functions well in the deck. I have Read the Runes in sideboard here, so this will come in if we're not, if we think we have the ability to set up a little bit. Read the Runes is maybe one of your best cards early game. So turn 0, Read the Runes is insanely powerful, because turn 0, you're not incentivized to push damage. So, for example, if I work really hard, I banish a card, I envelop in darkness, and I Runegate something out, they're just going to give you their hand, and they might take a couple points of damage, maybe a couple rune chance, but they're going to give you their hand, and they're going to drop when you drop. So you push a couple points of damage, you have nothing floating to the next round. Sucks. Read the Runes. Turn 0 as Vynnset is often a setup turn. So you're banishing a Runegate card. If you have Grasp of the Arcanite, you might be pitching to Grasp, make another rune chant, arsenal a card, pass. But if you have Read the Runes, think about that. You banish a Runegate card, you make a rune chant. Even if you just play out Read the Runes, that's all you're going to do. You make 3 more. You end on 4 rune chants and a banked Runegate card. So you're going to take 1 blood debt, but that's not the end of the world when you're rolling over essentially 10 damage to your next turn. 4 rune chants and 6 power probably in your banish. So Read the Runes, insanely powerful on turn 0. It becomes less and less impactful as the game goes on. So Read the Runes can also be really good to follow up, a go again attack. So you present Movsky's a Runegate card, Read the Runes. So sort of an aggro piece, but also if we're not on the blocking plan heavily and we're trying to set up, or we have opportunity to set up, then Read the Runes can be a fine choice to add to the deck. So you might even convince yourself. I often run 2 Read the Runes in the main board, so that's something you could think about as well. But I tried to simplify here since it's a beginner build as much as possible. We have 51 card main board, and so you're just going to add 9 cards. So basically, you're going to throw in 3 Read the Runes, for example, and maybe some blocking, and then we'll call it a day. But before we get ahead of ourselves, so Read the Runes in the sideboard here, great piece. We have some blocking pieces. So 2 defense reactions, 3 of each. Reduced to Rune Chant is an amazing piece. It's basically can represent a 0 for 5 value. It does cost 1 to play, blocks for 4, but it costs 1 less to play for each Rune Chant you control. So if you control at least 1 Rune Chant, then this is free. So it's a 0 for 4, which is a great rate for defense reaction. And on top of it, it creates you a Rune Chant token, which can be the Rune Chant token that you need to, facilitate your next turn. So reduce to Rune Chant, really, really good card. Sigil of Suffering is also a really interesting one. It's a 0 for 3 defense reaction, but it deals 1 arcane damage to the attacking hero when you react this out. And if you've dealt arcane damage, so essentially if they choose to take that 1 arcane, this goes up to +1. So this could be a guaranteed 0 for 4 if they have no floating resources, if they have no cards left in hand. It's a 0 for 4 that deals a damage. So again, sort of 0 for 5 points of value. Even if they have to pitch for that, you're stripping a card from their hand, which is really, really good value. So I love this piece as a defense reaction that requires your opponent to kind of make some additional choices when they're attacking. We have 5 more Pummels in the sideboard here. We have Pummels on yellow as well as blue. So if we're really trying to do an aggro game plan, you can side in all of the Pummels, okay? You could do like 5 Pummels, Sigil, which brings us up to 8, and maybe 2 Read the Runes. Or you just do 5 Pummels, Read the Runes. You're not worried about blocking at all, depending on your opponent, and maybe a Putrid or something like that. So you can play around with the sideboard, but we have the blue Pummels are probably the first ones to come in. It gives you more blues. There's an argument to be made that they just make the main board, but they're in the sideboard for now. So blue Pummels are probably your first if you want more Pummels. Blues are probably the first ones to go in, and then yellows if you feel like you need even more Pummels. Okay, you really want to pummel your opponent into the ground. Burdens of the Past. This is a really interesting piece. It is a Majestic, but it's super cheap. And I strongly believe that this is an interesting piece into Bravo. We need a lot of help into that matchup. And this might be the piece that allows you to get over the edge. So we don't have too much trouble whittling Bravo down. So this can represent the piece that basically stuffs their turn. If they're planning on just continuing to block and they're playing lots and lots of defense reactions, as a lot of Bravos tend to do, this can basically turn their defense reactions off. And so if they have 2 or 3 of them, maybe 1 in arsenal, a couple in hand, and this is late game where they've already played a lot of those defense reactions, this, I'll read it out. Until end of turn, target hero can't play defense reactions with the same name as cards in their graveyard. So if they've played one of those defense reactions out already, they can't play another one. So this could really represent that piece that helps you close the game out against Bravo, stuffs their defense reactions, and then maybe they're only left with a couple cards in hand that actually block. And if you're able to, Putrid, pump something and present a big attack, it might just get you there. So it also represents, it's a blue 3 block. So even at face value, we want blues in this build to facilitate the Pummel plan and to facilitate the Putrid Stirrings plan. So it's a no-brainer. But often, it is most valuable in the Bravo matchup. So it would come in for sure in that matchup. Otherwise, the blue Pummels is probably enough. So if you want to just go straight aggro, blue Pummel, yellow Pummel, read the runes, maybe couple read the runes, maybe couple Putrid Stirrings. Or if you want to like mixture of blockability as well as aggro, then you could think about Sigil or Reduce as well. Beyond that, I have Dance of Darkness. So we incidentally have a really, really good matchup into Wizard, specifically Kano in this meta. But so this, if your hero would be dealt damage, you may banish this to prevent 2 of that damage. It does have Blood Debt, but this is like a late game piece to stuff a Kano's Wildfire turn. So with Dance of Darkness and Ebonfold with Spell Void 2, you can basically, sometimes a lot of Kano's big attacks, if they've buffed them, come in for 4. And those might be the attacks that they need to hit to either like tutor with lessons or buff their following attacks, stuff like that. So Ebonfold as well as Dance of Darkness against Kano are just amazing. You sit on them and it basically even if you go shields down, meaning pitch all of your everything, this still represents 4 damage prevention, which might basically stop them from going off on that turn, that last turn. Grimoire is also in the list here. This is AB1, so this plus Vexing Quillhand represents AB2, plus Spell Void 2, and Dance of Darkness, which is essentially another Spell Void 2. Fortifies, and again, we have lots of blues in the list, so your matchup into Kano is really, really good. I mean, our best matchup, honestly. I've never lost against a Kano. I'm X and 0. Into Kano, we are heavily favored. That's probably the only matchup where we're that heavily favored, for sure. Nebula Blade is a great piece that you can play around with. It costs 2, so honestly, Aether Ironweave can pay for it. Comes in for 4 if you've attacked with a non-attack action, which is also required to crack Aether Ironweave to begin with. Gives Nebula Blade plus 3 if you played a non-attack. So 4 on-hit Rune Chant. You could play around with this as your default piece. It's a great piece. And if you're on the Pummel plan, we're running a lot of blues. So honestly, could be a really good choice. I do have, the 2 one-headed weapons as a default. Nebula Blade will specifically come in against Dromai because it's a good Dragon Swatter. But you can play around with Nebula Blade to see how it feels as a main weapon. I don't think it's a bad choice at all. So anyways, that's my budget list. I'm not saying this is the optimal budget build. I'd love to hear from you guys on what you think about this list. Maybe some tweaks that you would make, some additions that you might suggest, things like that. So I'd love to hear from you about that. I do hope you try this out. I'll include a link to the deck list in the description of the video, as well as I'll make this list public so you can give it a try on Talishar. So this is my super budget Vynnset build. I do want to show you, if I were to, I have a budget Vynnset here for $120. If I were to invest a little more money, so next steps, right? What are the first pieces that I would invest in? What are the first pieces that I would upgrade to bring this deck just to the next level? Okay, so this is still a budget build, 120 US at the time of creation. So not too bad. So I'm not going to talk about the main pieces. I'll just talk about the things that we've changed. So Dyadic Carapace. As much as I like Aether Ironweave, it's fine. Those 2 resources are, they can come up, they might not. So it represents 1 block and a maybe useful ability. Dyadic Carapace just allows you to, it's 3 life, which is amazing. And it's an incidental Arcane Barrier 2. So without even trying, we're running AB3, which strengthens you even further into the Wizard matchup if that's something you're worried about. And it's an additional 3 life. So it's a no-brainer, and it's a relatively cheap piece. So between $20 and $40, I think. In terms of a legendary, it's a cheaper legendary that is worthwhile as, a staple Rune Blade sort of equipment piece. So I would suggest this as an upgrade if you are looking at upgrading the list a little bit. I already kind of mentioned Arcanic Skullcap, or Arcanite Skullcap. If you do want to invest a little bit more than the 120 listed here, that could be a solid, for the same reason, right? It represents basically 3 more life. And so it allows you to kind of hold cards back and set up. So Arcanite Skullcap could be another addition here that I didn't actually include in this list. I wanted to still keep this list as budget as possible. Something to think about, though. Nothing else has changed. I'm going beyond what I've said in this list, but if you do want to spend a little bit more than 120, my next additions would likely be Spellbound Creepers on boots. It's so good, and I tend to miss it. It allows you to, it facilitates those 2 wide turns by pitching to it, playing your next non-attack action at instant speeds, which might restore your action point, allow you to keep going. So Spellbound Creepers, it is very expensive though, so that is a high-end addition, but something to think about. For now, in this budget build, I've already talked about it, so it's out of the bag, but we're going to keep going with Sutcliffe Suede Hides. It can still facilitate a 2 wide turn, so it's totally fine. I already talked about Grasp of the Arknight as an option here in terms of upgrade from Vexing Quillhand, but Vexing Quillhand, again, is very, very good. So this is totally fine. So in this $120 build, consistency is the plan, okay? So more life to allow us to hold back cards and set up. What else has changed? All of these are sort of staple main board pieces. We've added Funeral Moon, which is actually a little more expensive than I was expecting. This is a 3-block, which is great, but it also allows you to get a rune chant. So if a hero has lost life this turn, you can play this at instant speeds. That's great because it doesn't have go again natively. So you play it out, you create a rune chant token. Doesn't sound amazing, but it just increases the consistency of your deck. So on your turn, if you can hold this back, you can even banish this. You can play it from banish. Banish it, play it out. It just represents 2 rune chants, which is fine. But you can play it at the end of your opponent's turn if you've taken damage or if they've taken damage. Play it out and get that rune chant that you need. Or, you know, if nothing else, block for 3. So consistency piece, Funeral Moon was added. So this is a bit of a price tag. We've cut down to 6 Mavrian Skies main board because we're trying to lean into consistency. So you'll notice there are no pummels in the main board anymore. So the core now is consistency leaning. So we're trying to lean into the consistency game plan. The budget $60 build has an insanely high ceiling with those pummels. We still have pummels on the list, but insanely high ceiling, insanely high potential damage output. But it suffers a little bit in terms of consistency. Okay, so you could fall on your face. Here, we're just upping that consistency level. So 6 Mauve Skies, the reds, which represent 3 rune chants on hit, and that go again, and the blues, 1 rune chant on hit, go again. Runeblood Incantation again, consistent piece, or consistency piece. Cost 1, makes you rune chant on your next 3 turns. Shadow Puppetry. This one also was surprising to me. It came with a bit of a price tag, so I excluded it from the super budget list, but it is here in our $120 list. Shadow Puppetry is an amazing card in Vynnset, which is also why we can afford to cut down the number of Go Again enablers we have down to 6 main board Mauve Skies. Shadow Puppetry, in terms of consistency, it triggers Vynnset's second ability. So when you play your first Shadow non-attack action card, you can choose to, well, not your first. When you play a Shadow non-attack action card, you can choose to lose a life. If you do your first rune chant ability is unpreventable. So the dream combo is Shadow Puppetry, take the damage to Vynnset. It also gives +1 go again to your next attack, and the on hit is actually relevant. So if it hits, you get to look at the top of your deck, and you can choose to banish it. So you could actually hit. So the dream, before I get ahead of myself, Shadow Puppetry, take the damage to Vynnset. Okay, gives go again +1 to your next attack. Play out Deathly Wail. Okay, it needs you to have, you know, the 3 rune chants to play this out, but play out Deathly Wail. It's going to come in for 3 rune chants minimum, +7 damage. So it's going to get +1 from Shadow Puppetry. Go again on hit. Look at the top of your deck. You can choose to banish it. And since you've taken damage, the first rune chant is unpreventable. So your opponent has to take the first one. So that means you both already lost life, no matter what. So when you close a chain, doesn't matter what your opponent chooses to do from there. You're going to make 2 rune chants when you close a chain. If they choose to let this hit, because, well, it doesn't really matter what I do, they're going to get the rune chants. You get to look at the top of your deck. If you hit a 2-cost Runegate card, banish it. You get to follow this up. You close the chain, you make your 2 rune chants, and you get to just for free come in for another 2 and 6, which is amazing. So Shadow Puppetry is a great piece. You know, this might be the first thing you include as you're upgrading this deck. Shadow Puppetry. Really good consistency piece. The rest is all the same. So Phantom Wraith in reds and blues, and all of the widespreads. Widespread Ruin, Widespread Destruction, Widespread Annihilation, Runegate cards with relevant on-hurt abilities. Couple minor changes to the inventory. So in this case, as we're sacrificing high damage output for consistency, we've cut down the number of pummels significantly. So we're only running 2 red pummels now, and they're in the sideboard. So these will come in against decks that don't really like to block, okay? So aggro decks like Fi, aggro decks like Dash, Pummel can really catch them off guard, strip cards from their hand, which, you know, lowers the damage output that they can do on their turn. So 2 of Pummels in the inventory for those aggro matchups against heroes that don't like to block you. Putrid Stirrings for the same reasons I explained before, good against Bravo. Read the Runes now have their complement, Oblivion. So Oblivion, not a super expensive piece, but a fun little addition here. You can play this at instant speeds to make a demon, which swings for 6 and has 6 health. But you only play it if you have exactly 6 rune chance. This is not the end of the world. If you have over 6, they pop one at a time. So you swing, maybe you have 8 rune chance, you let the first 2 pop, and then you respond to when you have 6 remaining, when you control 6 remaining rune chance, the first 2 have popped. You play out Oblivion at instant speed, you make your demon, and this can really be relevant, okay? So it's a really fun piece. So if you're siding in your 3 Read the Runes, this allows you to, make 3 rune chance, which can get you up to those critical mass. And if you're planning on doing a lot of setup, like maybe against Bravo with Putrid Stirrings, then Oblivion is a great potential piece. It also represents a blue. Okay, so Read the Runes come now with Oblivion, which is just a fun card. We have our same defense reaction, so Sigil of Suffering, deal an arcane, whatever they choose to do. It's either going to block for 3 or 4, reduce, make a rune chant. And we have one of Revel. So, this is a bit of a more expensive piece as well, so this is why we've added it as a one of. If you want to put a little bit more money into the deck, 2 of Revel is sort of my preference, especially when we're running so many Go Again enablers. So the yellow mauve skies, you'll notice, are in the inventory as well. So we can go up to 12 Go Again enablers in the deck. With those Go Again enablers, Revel is just so good. So a second Revel, if you do want to just, pour a little bit more money into the deck, you can cut whatever. There's ability to cut. Maybe, you can cut down 1 Funeral Moon if you do want to save that money. And go 2 Revels instead of 3 Funeral Moon. So up to you. You can cut down to 1 Pummel if you don't think that's a good choice. So anyways, 1 Revel though, to keep it at that, $120 level. So good. If you've played another non-attack, it requires you essentially to play another non-attack action card. If you go like Mob Skies, something, attack, Revel and Runeblood, create 4 rune chants, which might allow you to follow that up with another Runegate card. The dream is like Widespread Annihilation, which just happens to be Runegate 4. So this could allow you to follow up your attack with 4 and 6 Widespread Annihilation. Scary. Aether Ironweave is still in the list if we do need those resources. Anyways, in the list, Dance of Darkness for the same reason, to fortify our wizard matchup. Kimwal to bring you to AB4 for some reason. So we're really, really strong against Kano now. But Kimwal can also represent a free or a Go Again on Read the Runes. So its ability, you got to be careful with it. You can't do it too early because Blood Debt, there's no way to get this out of your banish zone, so it will drain you over time. But like a late game final push to get the Eloquence token, give your Read the Runes Go Again, present a Runegate card or go 2 wide, something like that. And then Nebula Blade for the same reasons as before. You can play with it as your main or, side it in against Dromai, stuff like that. We do have our nice Nazareth token now since we are running Oblivion. Okay, so I've already talked for far too long. I will share the link to this $120 build if you're interested in the description of the video. I'll also make it public so you can find it on Talishar. And I'll link this video to both of them. So you should be able to find these builds. If you filter, go to public decks. And if you filter based on decks that have associated YouTube videos, you'll notice my experimental build, which is my full power build. So you can check that one out if you want. This is no budget build. So we're running Tunic, we're running Crown of Providence, we're running all those expensive pieces. So you can check out my experimental build, but you'll find my budget lists once I share them publicly in this list as well. So filtering YouTube videos, you should be able to find it in there. Okay. So I also wanted to jump on Talishar and test these decks out. And so there's, it's going to be a bit of a longer video, but hopefully you guys find this helpful. I hope the new players that are watching here give Vynnset a try, and let me know how the deck is working for you, okay? So first and foremost, we'll test out our $60 build. And then we might as well, we'll queue up a game with the $120 build to see how they kind of play differently, okay? So without further ado, let's get that sorted. All right, we got a Teklo-Vossen. That's kind of interesting. Honestly, I have no idea how to sideboard into Teklo. We can enable chat, but I can't access the chat box here on this browser for some reason. So they're pretty blocky. I think we just lean into our aggro plan. Let's see. Let's just lean into... I'm not worried about defense reactions. If it goes late game, we're already in trouble. So we're now going to say, good luck, have fun. Now we can chat. All right. So we got a Pummel. We got a blue. That's a good start. We got a Rune Blood Incantation. So I can't remember who's going first. I think they're going first. So on our turn, we're going to banish something. We're probably gonna have to give up some cards, but I'm probably gonna want to hold on to these two. Looks like they made a mistake in their sideboarding, so I don't know how representative this game will be, but we'll see. Anyways, Liquid Cooled Mayhem Evo upgrade. This costs 1 less to play for each Evo you've equipped, so this is gonna be expensive for them. They're gonna pitch a bunch, but they're you know, cycling their hand. If they die to arcane damage, they're gonna blame their sideboarding. Well, that's a thing. All right, let's see, 6. I think we're just going to give them our 2. You know, we don't really want to banish these big, expensive Runegates early. Like, I wouldn't mind banishing Widespread. This might be wrong. But I do really want to keep these are really good early game pieces. So we're going to give them those and hold on to these pieces that I want to basically set up on turn 0. Or turn 1 for us. So... this gives us a decision to make. I think we're just on the setup plan still because we could, like, we're going to banish this Widespread no matter what. We could play out the Envelop in Darkness and present the Widespread Ruin. Something's going on the other side of the table here with his comments. But anyways, we could present that. But I think we're just going to play setup a little bit and actually pitch this Envelop in order to play this setup piece. And bank the Pummel. I kind of forgot about Ebonfold. Honestly, we could have Ebonfolded our first Runegate card on turn 0, which would have been impactful. But I'm really happy. Oh my god. We made some good decisions, I think. Our next turn is going to be insane. We are going to Envelop in Darkness, pitching the blue Pummel, which allows us to float 2 for Pummel. After Mob Skies, so we're going to be forcing through likely this Mob Skies on hit, and we can even follow it up with Read the Runes, and we're going to end on, what, 6 rune chance? Potentially. That's the dream. We're not too worried about Teklo. Like, taking those setup turns is not that scary against Teklo, because they are also wanting to set up early game. So they may not even, you know, present any damage to us here. So, oh, we have to banish a card. I forgot about that. So we're not going to have our Read the Runes. I shouldn't forget that we have to banish as Vynnset, but I still sometimes do. Read the Runes is the least impactful card that we're holding right now. So we're going to go Envelop. We're going to pitch a blue. We don't really care to take the damage here. It would allow us to go digging for something off the top, but I think that's fine. We Mauve Skies. And now we're going to be coming in for 4 and 6, which is actually 10 with Pummel on hit, discard a card. They don't have Arcane Barrier, which is what they were complaining about early game there. A little bit of a mistake sideboarding from them, but that's okay. You know, we don't know how to sideboard against Teklo. They don't know how to sideboard against Vynnset, which makes sense. Not huge meta dogs. Okay, 9, go again. On hit. Rune Chance. Blocking 4. Blocking 7. Blocking 10. Can you deal with an additional 4? 13. So we don't really want to follow, like, we're going to roll these Rune Chants over to the next turn. If we follow it up with Flail, it breaks those Rune Chants, which I think it's better. So they're going to have to discard their last card. Hopefully they were banking on that one. We don't want to swing Flail because it'll consume those rune chants, and they're more powerful or more impactful on our next turn. And so we're going to pass, roll those 3 rune chants over. And we draw into Widespread Annihilation, which is amazing. Just as a 1 card, because we have 3. We're going to have 5 at the beginning of our next turn. They're presenting 3, which we're happy to just give them one of these pieces. Pass, banish, present Widespread Annihilation as a 1 card hand. We would have been happy giving them Deathly Wail on that last turn as well. I would like to sit on Read the Runes and Arsenal, because we can follow up like a Go Again attack with that Read the Runes. So things have lined up quite well for us, but you can see that, even as a budget deck, there's a lot of really, really high damage ceiling. There's a lot of potential damage output in this deck, so it is a lot of fun. It's consistency. It does struggle a little bit, I'm not going to lie. So that's why, our second build, you can also do like a melange between the 2 builds, the $60 build, the $120 build, slowly incorporate some consistency pieces to help with the consistency of the deck. I do think Pummel's a really, really strong choice in this deck. So they're still going to have to, because they had to take all of the rune chants, they're still going to have to give us a card from hand. Looks like they want to keep the other 3, unless they have a, so they're going to have to give us a card from hand. I don't know if they realize that. Yep, banish. Well, they can play it from banish, so that doesn't hurt them that much. So we're still going to start our turn on 2 rune chants. We're going to banish this Widespread Destruction, likely. They're going to do some suiting up here, playing a Evo Steel Soul Processor. We have Envelop in Darkness to get us to our 3rd rune chant in order to play out the Widespread Destruction, which will be relevant because they are going to be arsenaling this card, I believe. And we have another setup piece, so we're pretty happy with this. We're not going to be able to play out Read the Runes unless we want to... Well, okay. Either way, we're banishing this Widespread Destruction. We're playing the Envelop in Darkness out to get our 3rd rune chant. We don't care to take the damage because they can't block our Arcane anyways. We are going to play this as another setup piece, so beautiful. Our first incantation broke, and we're going to, set up another, so we'll get more rune chants. I do honestly think the play, we have 1 float, so we're going to present this Widespread Destruction. Sutcliffe's Suede Hide. So attack reaction, destroy this. Target attack action card gains Go Again. We have played 2 non-attack action cards, so we are able to do that. And I think I'm just going to get the value from it now in order to end the turn on rune chants, which is really powerful for us. So coming in for 9, they will lose their arsenal unless it's a defense reaction that they can play. Blocking for 6. We are going to attack react here with Sutcliffe Suede Hides. We also, against a hero that is not playing Arcane Barrier, this just represents an additional 2 damage. So Vexing Quillhand becomes even more impactful. Not only a break in case of emergency, get us to those rune chants that we need, but able to help close out the game potentially. So reaction, we can't forget, we're going to react with Suede Hides, give it Go Again. Just to, come out with Read the Runes, which, fine. But ending the turn on 3 rune chants is really impactful. So, we'll just play it out. It'll close the chain for us. They will banish their Terminator tank, which we're happy about. End on 3 rune chants, pass the turn. We're still on 39 life. Again, our opponent didn't, express that they didn't really sideboard correctly, so I don't know how representative this game is. We haven't really had to respond to much that they've presented with us. However, I think this game is still showing the potential of this deck in terms of generating rune chants, in terms of getting those Runegate cards out. So I do still think this is a fine representation. Okay. So, again, we are rolling quite nicely. We're going to banish this Deathly Wail. When I see Pummel envelop in a blue, we are laughing because We pitch the blue for envelop. It leaves us 2 float for the Pummel. So the dream is Pummel envelop blue. And we did get, you know, this would be nice if it was a red, but yeah, that's fine. Scrap Prospector, we're just going to get our 1 value off of Aether Ironweave here. Throw this in front of it and let it hit. Take a couple damage, no big deal. We're going to have a scary turn. Once again. Yep, suiting up, Iron Man. Go ahead. Oh, I think they were just filtering maybe? I don't know. Missed that. But anyways, Deathly Whale, banish, envelop, pitching the blue, and we're going to take it every time. Even if they can't block, we take it because we want to generate 2 rune chants off of this. Then we're going to present, you know, the buff is going to make this blue very attractive. It's going to go from a 4 to a 7. So we're coming in for 6 and 7, just on a blue, and a red envelop. First one's unpreventable, but they're all unpreventable functionally here in this matchup. I think they're dying to more than just Arcane. I'm not 100% sure here, but we're doing some scary stuff. So, this is, obviously, all of our attacks are pummelable. This is a 3-cost attack. Coming in for 7, but really it's 11. They just don't know that yet. Blocking 4. Blocking 7. Can you deal with another Pummel? Taking 4 down to 10, discarding a card from hand. And again, we only need to get them within 2 range, so we're going to end on 2 rune chance because of Deathly Whale. So amazing. We could... I think Deathly Delight, I'm happy to play out the Darkness. We're not going to be able to Aether Ironweave this turn. But we're just presenting lots of Arcane, which is not good for them. Not sure what this does. Scrap twice, gain 2 for... Oh, wow. I don't recognize this card. It's interesting. They're going to scrap 2 cards and gain a bunch of resources, which is going to allow them to suit up, I assume. Yep. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, our only banished target here is Deathly Delight, which is fine. We go up to 4 rune chants from Incantation. If we had Grimoire, like, we could read the runes and then present 7, 8 Arcane. But in this case, we're just going to sit on the read the runes until we have go again. We don't mind paying. You might as well pay on Deathly Delight because you're just going to gain the life back anyways. So we'll gain 2 life when I close the chain on this. This is going to make us a 5th rune chant and pump. What are they doing here? Equip base equipment with proton is named from your inventory. Okay. Interesting. Or Evo permanents get +1 defense this turn. That's pretty good. Not sure what else that card does, but that's fine. We're going to present this Deathly Delight for 5 and 7 with the buff from Yellow Envelop. So they have to take the 5. I feel bad for bullying this Teklo-Boss a little bit with our budget Vynnset build, but it is what it is. We have been rolling quite hot, but I think it does, again, showcase what this deck can do, even as a budget deck. So we're going to have to give us some cards here. They're at 5. So this is finally, you know, we still have Incantation up, which is great. So we'll get 1 last rune chant from our second Incantation, which is, as you can see, sort of greasing the wheels, facilitating our next attacks. In this case, we've had more rune chants that we need. But for the first time here, you know, we were presenting or threatening Pummel here, which could be scary as well, by the way. We get another rune can as soon as this breaks. That's kind of hilarious. So regardless, we're happy, honestly, on this type of turn to just give up most of our hand and just preserve one of these 2-cost Runegate cards. With Incantation up, it just allows us to banish the 2-cost Runegate and present it. So in this case, we're basically 1 off of lethal is how I'm reading this. Because when we banish one of these 2-cost Runegate cards, we'll have 2 rune chants. If I break Vexing Quillhand, it brings us to 4 rune chants, which they can't deal with. So they would go to 1. So in this case, you know, if there was a way to give go again, follow up with Scepter Pay, we could close the game out. We could dig for something with Ebonfold. but I don't think it's worth it. I think we're just happy to, you know, throw 2 rune chants and a big attack at them and then just basically close the game out next turn likely. Probably set up with Rune Blood Incantation, unless they present something here that we need to block. We don't care about Teklo Leveler, I don't think. But we actually have a card. We have an extra card in hand, so we can just give them a card, and it doesn't impact what we do on our turn. So we might as well block it. No way to play sloppy at this point. We're going to trade this Runeblood Incantation in for a new Runeblood Incantation. So banish, it doesn't really matter. Widespread Rune has an on hurt, so we might as well. We're going to set up our new Runeblood Incantation as soon as the... So we've had Incantation every turn, which is kind of amazing. And then we're going to Widespread Ruin. Present 2, basically unpreventable. So they'll take 2. And they will likely give us a couple cards. They have 5 cards in hand, so they must have done some Evo shenanigans. I haven't been paying too close attention to what they've been doing on the other side of the table, because they haven't really given us much that we have to interact with yet. So Widespread Rune for 6. They're going to have to give us either some equipment pieces. These are all... They have a couple block left on equipment. So maybe equipment plus 1 card from hand, or maybe 2 cards from hand. But next turn, essentially, we are just going to win because of Vexing Quill hand. Blocking 5. They want to keep those 4 cards. Maybe they have an impactful turn coming up. Looks like they might. So taking 1 down to 2, we're not even going to have to break Vexing Quill hand, which is pretty amazing. So we are going to have to break Vexing Quill hand to allow for Deathly Wail to come out. But then they are super dead because we can present Mob Skies ahead of it, Pummel, unless they give us something we really need to block here. We might just take some damage and show them really what this deck can do, because this next turn is Banish Wail, Mob Skies, Wail, or sorry, Vexing Quill hand so that we can play the Wail out. Mob Skies, Wail, Pummel the Wail, potentially, so guaranteeing potentially the Mob Skies on hit, and then playing out Read the Runes and ending the turn on 6 rune chants. That's a little disgusting. But either way, they're not going to survive the rune chants that we present ahead of Wail, unless they have like 2 Sigil of Solace in hand or something, but I doubt that. Okay, so what do we got? What do we got? We got a Liquid Cooled Mayhem. 6, costs 1 less to play, so it's a 6. So 1 for 6 is pretty decent, I'd say. I would say, but we're at the point in the game where we have such a huge life buffer that we're just going to take it and show them what this deck can do. We're still at 31. They're going to give us a Teklo Leveler, which we're also just happy to take. Go to 29. Banish Wail, Mob Skies, or Vexing Quill hand, Mob Skies. Doesn't really matter what order you do it in. Vexing Quill hand. Make 2 more Rune Chantos. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get the full power of this turn because they're going to die as the first 2 rune chants pop. And it'll be GG's, but we could have, we know this, Pummel and Read the Runes. GG's. We're going to go main menu. I'm not, they might want to rematch here, but I think that was a good showcase to what the deck can do. The deck is capable of... some scary stuff. So I'm going to grab the link to my next $120 build, and we are going to find a new opponent and see what those changes do to the deck. All right, so we have a few new pieces to play with here in the $120 build. The name of the game here is to increase the consistency of the deck. Although I think I might miss those Pummels. Those Pummels felt pretty good in the budget deck, in the super budget deck. But we have Carapace here as a default chess piece to give us some additional block. And we have a few consistency pieces, pieces that are looking to increase the consistency of the deck in the main board, as well as some high damage, You know, we're still not sacrificing on high damage output. Revel and Runeblood and our 2 red Pummels are our big damage producers, so we'll see who we can pair into on this matchup. Oh, we got an Arachne. I was here catching up on phone stuff, but all right, let's see what we get. They're going to try and fatigue us, so I think we, again, just lean into the aggro plan. Ooh, we need those. We need those. We can go 61 so that we can include Oblivion. Okay. Good luck. Have fun. With Revel, I don't mind banishing Widespread Annihilation on turn 0. Might be a bit crazy. Let's do it. And let's just play this Envelop out so that we get a second Rune Chant and just filter a little bit. We do have 2, so we can present Scepter of Pain. It'll allow them to filter, but I don't know if we mind so much. I don't know if this is the correct choice, because they're probably just going to block it, filter a card from hand, and then we have no real, you know, we didn't get any additional benefit from that, so you probably don't do that, maybe. Love to see Mob Skies. We're going to have a very impact. So essentially, we can give these 2 cards, or these 2 cards. With Mob Skies, one of these 2 cost Runegate cards, Revel and Widespread, is very good. It's very good. So this is going to be debuff one of the attack reactions that we want to block with, which I think is fine. So we can just, we do have Carapace if there's something that we really don't want to hit. The funny thing about Arachne is their banish from top of deck or whatever is not the end of the world for us. We don't mind so much. So I can block this out without too much trouble. Because we have 2 pieces. Like, I wouldn't mind sitting on an extra Mob Skies in Arsenal. So, but we do have like 1 superfluous attack action that we don't care about. It does get debuff with hurt, which hurts a little bit. We could block an additional 2, but I don't care so much about this on hit. So I think we're just going to let it hit and see what they get from the top of our deck. Widespread Destruction, just a little more ammunition for us. So they're going to Arsenal. So we could have given them Ruin, but we had no idea that we were going to banish into this Destruction. So we're going to banish the Ruin. We are going to Mauve Skies, Ruin, or Destruction, sorry, which is scary enough as is. It's going to threaten their Arsenal. What they don't know is we are going to take their Arsenal, if they really want their Arsenal, then they're going to start blocking this out, which is great for us. They're not going to see the Widespread Ruin coming. So there's another decision point. Rather than sitting this in Arsenal, we could play it out, and depending on what they do, no, it looks like they're going to. They have to give us another card from hand, right? They don't want this mob to hit. There we go. They were just deciding. They weren't going to give it to us. So now we're going to play Revel. They're going to lose their thingy, and they're going to give us their hand. Oh, they didn't take... That's right, sorry. They didn't take any damage. So they aren't going to lose their Arsenal. But chances are they will give us hand. Does the Mauve Skies do anything? I think we want to just sit on Mauve Skies. Like, the Mauve Skies represents, and like, we could follow it up with Whale, but I think they're just going to give us hand. Like, they're going to take the Rune Chance, block this out completely. Because Assassin runs a lot of 3 blocks. I don't know. Maybe. I don't mind sitting on the Widespread Ruin, though, to facilitate another, wide turn. But the play may have been Mauve Skies Annihilation. But, if they choose to block out this Annihilation completely, I think they just give hand here regardless. Then it kind of nullifies Mauve Skies, and it makes more sense to roll it over. So, yeah, we made the right choice. So they give us hand. They get to preserve their Arsenal. That's fine. We get a nice Arsenal ourselves. we're happy to banish Funeral Moon. That's another reason why Funeral Moon is good, is we're fine banishing it. We still get that value, right? Because when we draw into these hands of non-attacks, it's nice to, still get some value from that non-attack action that you have to banish. So here we are going to play out this Envelop. We don't really care to take the life. It's going to give us our second rune chant that we need to play out the Widespread Ruin. If you want to guarantee play out the Funeral Moon, then you could choose to take the life there. We are going to play out the Mauve Skies because we're just going to stuff Shadow Puppetry in Arsenal instead. And this presents an on-hit that they are going to have to respect. Unless they want us to end on a couple rune chants. So 2 and 6. Sorry, 9. I forgot about Envelop in Darkness. Even better. 2 and 9 on hit. Make 2 rune chants. Are they going to react? They are not. They're going to give us our rune chants. They took damage, so we can play our Funeral Moon out, which will give us a 3rd rune chant because we don't really need to sit on that. We have Go Again, so we can present Scepter of Pain, and it looks like they don't want to give us any other cards, so they're probably going to give us a 4th rune chant, and we're going to Arsenal. Amazing. So that's why I love Scepter of Pain. You can play it out without threat or breaking your rune chants. That was a pretty impactful turn for us. And we have some nice pieces here that we drew into. Eradicate is a bit of a pain, especially if we assume they have an attack reaction. We don't mind them banishing so much off the top of our deck, but we don't want them banishing too much. So I think I'm happy to give them a Whale and kind of sit on this Envelop in Darkness for a later turn. Or maybe, no, we might want to play out the Whale since we have Shadow Puppetry. Because these kind of just go so nicely together. So we might be okay giving up Ruin. How much are we comfortable with them banishing off the top is the question. Let's give them 4. Oh, that's Carapace, right. Let's give them 3. If they shred this, we lose 4 off the top. If they buff this, we probably lose 4 off the top. Do we just give them Envelop? Let's give them Envelop, and let's assume that they're going to shred or pump. Because if they do, yeah. So shred, they're going to get 2 off the top, which we're happy with. 2 is fine, and with Deathly Whale, so they're going to banish 3 with Mask of Perdition. That's fine. We didn't get any... Oh, we did. We're fine. We're laughing. So, Deathly Whale. Shadow Puppetry. Take the damage all day. That will guarantee... So we're going to present this Deathly Whale for 5 and 5. It's going to get +1 from Shadow Puppetry. Go again on hit. Look at the top of my deck. Choose to banish. Regardless of what we hit off the top, we're not going to banish it because we have some banished fodder already. If they take any damage, which they inevitably will, since we made the first rune chant unpreventable, we will be able to play and at least end the turn on our Funeral Moon rune chant, which is great. We are, no matter what, going to play out 1 more Runegate card from Banish, which is great as well. So the next decision we have to make is similar to the one previously, is do we play out the Mauve Skies to threaten a 3-wide turn or to force 2 cards out of hand? So we're not going to banish that. Regardless, we're closing the chain, making 2 rune chants. The question now is this more impactful to sit on? I think the answer is yes, similar to what we decided last time. Let's see what they do here. So we're not going to Mauve Skies. We could pitch Mauve Skies to Suede Hides, but that's not really what we're after here on this turn. I think Mauve Skies, while it would force them to respect the on-hit and basically give us 2 cards from hand, I think I'd rather just sit on in an arsenal, because they're going to be giving us cards anyways. Yeah. So, again, I think we made the right choice. By them blocking this out completely, we still get to end on 1 rune chant, which is great. We're only going to take 1 to Blood Debt, and we're going to end on a relevant arsenal, which is amazing. I know they're on the fatigue plan for the most part, so They don't have an arsenal, so this widespread destruction kind of not great, but we're going to banish it anyways because it's our only valid banished target. I think the incantation is more valuable than the envelop in this instance. So I'm thinking about pitching the envelop for the incantation. And still like roll a go again enabler over to the next turn. So I think we go incant, pitching envelop. Even though envelop for somebody who's trying to fatigue us might be better. I don't know. We're either way, we've made the decision. So we're gonna go incant, pitching envelop. We're gonna play out the Mauve Skies, which forces them to block this out because otherwise we follow this up with a destruction, which they don't want. They're going to play Plague Hive and give us Inertia. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I wish we had Pummel here. That's sort of unfortunate. They could still mess up here and give us the on-hit, but there's no way, right? Even if we break Vex... What are you doing? Fate? Do you have 2D reacts? Okay. They let it hit, which is entirely the wrong choice. That probably cost them the game, because now we get full value of our hand, and we get to ignore their inertia. So because they're going to take this from us anyways, we're going to play it out. We're going to say no to paying, because we don't really care. This is going to be 3 and 7 go again, which we can follow up with Flail if we want, which we probably will. They don't have any block on equipment, so we can end the turn on a rune chant. The on-hurt here, threatening arsenal, is not relevant, but that's fine. They're going to give us both their cards and take 1 more damage. We're going to get to see the top of our deck. Why not? Why not float this Deathly Whale? I wish we had Shadow Puppetry in Arsenal. It's okay. We're going to present Flail. They're going to take 1 more, give us a rune chant. We are going to be able to guarantee play the whale. We drew into our puppetry. We didn't even need to bank it. This is amazing. So, banish Deathly Delight. This is what the consistency game plan can facilitate. You know, rolling these big damage turns over and over. We take the damage to Shadow Puppetry every time. We present Deathly Whale. 3 and 7... Go again on hit, look at the top of our deck, but we don't care because we have our Deathly Delight that we just banished, so we're going to be able to follow this up with Deathly Delight regardless of what they do. Could give it go again. We could bank this. Not sure what we'll do yet. Giving us cards. Taking 1. We don't want to banish the Pummel. Because that's Pummel, it incentivizes us to keep a blue in hand, maybe? So the decision is either Mauve Skies Deathly, and then follow it with Scepter, or we can just Scepter now and bank, or, well, no, we're presenting Deathly no matter what. Let's just get the big damage out. So we're going to play Mauve Skies, which breaks the chain, generates our 2 rune chants from Deathly Whale. We're going to present the Deathly Delight. 2 and 5, go again on hit, 1 rune chant. The last decision to make is whether we want to keep this blue in hand to guarantee we have a blue for Pummel, but I don't mind just arsenaling Pummel either, because they're once again just going to pass. So it might be better to just present Scepter or Flail to try and get 1. Yeah, they're going to give us their hand, so we can get a rune chant for free. Let's give them Flail and hold the blue back for Pummel, because it's going to hit. They don't have any block unless they want to give us Tunic, but they probably don't. So we get a rune chant. We gain the life back from Deathly Delight. We're not going to Arsenal this because we suck and we can't draw. No, I'm just kidding. It's still fine. We aren't going to be able to Pummel this, but we're going to be able to banish this Deathly Whale. And because of Incant, we do start with 3. So I don't think Mauve Skies is that beneficial here, so I think just like continuing to grease the wheels, Play out incant, pitching Mauve Skies. Might seem a bit strange, but I think that might be the play here. Present Deathly for 3 and 4. We're just going to sit on the Pummel for a later turn where we can catch them off guard, take a card from their hand, force some Mauve Skies on hit maybe. We did side in the yellows. We're on all 9 mobs. I don't know how many we've played or seen already, but anyways, see what they do. They're going to take 1. We're going to end on a rune chant. We're going to make 2 more at the beginning of our next turn, so we're laughing. Really interesting hand, but we'll take it. It's totally fine, honestly. I think we just take this. We still have Dyadic Carapace's block. I think we just take the Spider's Bite and see what they follow it up with. We might use... Yeah, we're going to pitch the blue for the Pummel. What does this do? Contract to banish, blah, blah, blah. When this hits a hero, banish the top card of their deck and a defending card. I think I want to keep all of these, though. And I'll show you why in a bit. I want to keep all these. So that can hit. They'll get a card off top, and we'll see what we get in banish. Nothing beneficial to us. Envelop in darkness. We banish this Deathly Whale. Oh, I'm 1 resource short. I didn't raise up. Yeah. I messed up there, but it's still okay. I forgot that Suede Highs cost 1. So the idea was pitch the blue to Pummel, and then Suede Hides, and then follow it up with another Deathly Whale by just pitching it out, or playing it. But we're not going to be able to do that. So I messed up a little bit here. Just miscalculated my resources. If this was a blue, we would be able to. But this is still a scary turn. So 6, what they don't know is we're holding Pummel. We have to hope they don't have a D-React, because they could just stuff this. So let's cross our fingers that they don't have a D-React here. Nice. So they go to 2. They have to give us a card from hand. Ooh, wait. Undo. I passed by accident. Sorry. I had passed. So the idea was to play out this Deathly Whale. We have the resources, but we don't have the go again. So I should have given go again to whatever. We messed up here. As an attack reaction, I could have given this go again and then followed this up with like Scepter. But we're just going to Arsenal a card. So it was a bit of a blunder. I was 1 resource shy from doing the line I wanted to do there. And come in with another Deathly Well, which would have just won us the game. And we have another bit of an awkward hand. Because we can't even Suede Hides here because we haven't... Oh, we wouldn't have been able to do it last turn anyways because we didn't have a non-attack. So that's fine. We once again don't have a non-attack. I wonder if it's Quill Hand time to do... I don't think we're there yet. I think we just do Whale. Everything we present them now is a pain. I really wish we could like... Oh, we can. Let's see if we can fix our hand a little bit. Let's banish Ebonfold. Pitching Phantom Wraith. Banish our second blue Deathly. We draw into a blue Envelop, which is interesting. It is does present unpreventable Arcane, which is good when he's at 2. And yeah, now we can do the plan that we had last turn. Since we've played a non-attack action, I think they might just be dead here. Because we're going to Suede Hides this at instant speed, or during attack reactions, give it go again, and then we're going to follow it up with another Deathly Whale. So we were able to basically, Ebonfold allowed us to, savior here. We'll react with this right away. Give it go again. Ebonfold allowed us to do what we essentially flubbed last time. So we're going to D-react here, which is expected. But we're going to present another 5. So unless that is another D-react, I think we have them here. in Arsenal, that is. So we'll see. Then give D-React and Tunic would do it. This is 4, not enough. Is that a D-React? It is not. Good game, sir. So I think you can see what those additional, consistency pieces add to the deck. So up to you. Again, you can kind of come up with like a blended deck build between the two if you want to add a couple of consistency pieces, but you still like some of the high damage output pieces. But this is sort of like a little bit of best of both worlds, potentially, I think. So anyways, I hope you guys have a ton of fun with these builds. We get some interesting matchups there, but I think it did help to showcase what the decks are capable of. So again, let me know what you think. I know that was a long video, so if you're still watching here at the end, thank you guys so much. You guys are champs. Anyways, I'll let you go. We'll chat real soon. Cheers, everybody.